Yo, what's up, everybody? Another edition of the Locals Only podcast for 95X, brought to you by Syracuse Hollers. I am Dixon, joined this week by a band I've been referring to every day at 6:05 p.m. as a Syracuse shoegaze supergroup. They're known as Forever Plus. And joining me this evening are Josh Coy, Curt Henry, and Stephen Douglas Wolf. You might recognize those names. Josh has been in Long Since Forgotten and Sympathy, amongst a whole host of other projects. Curt was the drummer for Honor Bright. If you listen to the show, you know that Stephen Douglas Wolf is one of my favorite singer-songwriters of the current era. He's also performed in some bands locally. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
The single is insane. So a few weeks ago, Stephen reached out to me and said, hey, can you listen to these? And I'm never going to say no to that offer from this gentleman. And without any explanation of who was in the band or whatever else, I got to hear two songs, right? And one of them is the song that's in the Locals Only Spotlight this week called Safe Inside. Make sure you're tuning in, checking it out, streaming it across all platforms because it is available. And I was immediately blown away. I think my exact words to you were like, man, if only Cave-In could make Cave-In records like this in 2022. No offense to them, but I adore what you're doing. I love that it's kind of a fresh take on something that has evolved over the years. Talk us through sort of the culmination of the formation of Forever Plus.
Yeah, I mean, I could get us started, I suppose. We actually started writing that song, Safe Inside, Josh and I did in my basement in my old house about 5, almost 6 years ago at this point. I think from like the second that I met Josh, I first met Josh somehow in the control room at Subcat. I remember that much. I don't remember why we were both there.
Was that
probably
a Jonah Amanda Rogers You show?
Oh, it could have been. That could have been it.
Oh, that was definitely it. Ulf invited me to hang out and watch Jonah from One Line Drawing play.
There you go. So yeah, it was a Sub Rosa session,
and you were playing.
Yeah, I played that show as well. It was a fun time, and then like ever since then, I feel like Josh and I have been trying to find a way to write music and play music together. And it really wasn't long after that we started working on just that song. I had just this one little riff that I sent over to Josh, and he was like, "Oh, we could do something with that." So we sat down and wrote a whole bunch of lyrics for it, and then it sort of disappeared for a while. We didn't really do much with it, but luckily Josh and Curt and I all had the chance to play together a few different times over the past couple of years. We played together in a band that we lovingly referred to as Geezer because we played the entire Weezer's Pinkerton album front to back at Funk and Waffles on the 20th anniversary of the release of Pinkerton. So that was cool. And then these guys, along with Alex, who plays bass on this first single as well, and was also in Geezer, backed me up for a show that we did in the Catskills opening for the Get Up Kids a while back as well. So we love playing with each other. We love creating music together. So finally, about a year ago now, Josh and I were like, well, let's just actually do this. So we sat down and we finished the song, got Curt involved to lay down the most incredible drum track we could have possibly ever dreamed of. And then we all worked together to just kind of finish up the harmonies and everything, and finally made a song out of an idea that was about 5 years in the making. And just couldn't be more excited with the way it turned out and how things are going.
I could not be happier that this is a continuing thing. The song is spectacular to me in a multitude of ways, because it makes me think about a whole lot of different bands that I love, but they're not like direct lines. You know, like sometimes you hear a band, you go, oh, this is like a new version of this, right? Like you guys made me think about like 18 different things, right? Like, and I love that in knowing you guys and all of the influences that you share, but also bring different things to the table. It all makes sense, right? Like, and I know that I have like the advantage of knowing you guys in an intimate manner, right? Like, especially having seen all the projects that you've all been involved in over the years. But man, talk about a culmination, right? Like this is just, I think, kind of like, I've had an idea in my head for years of like taking different people from different bands and being like, yo, here's this forced collaboration, right? Like you've got 6 months to churn out a couple of songs and you guys just kind of did it on your own. And I love that. And I love, I think Josh and I touched on this the last time he was on with me, is like, I've tried to spin the pandemic in a positive way. And I know that's a hard thing to do, but like, in this case, I think in a weird way, had you guys not all had all of that time on your hands, that maybe this wouldn't have happened. And again, I'm being presumptuous with that, but same token, like I love the fact that it broke the cycle that most artists have, which are like this very sort of structured writing, pre-production, recording, press, tour. And then you repeat the second half, right? And then if it's successful, you do it a third time. And then you go back to the very beginning. It broke a lot of people out of that headspace and allowed a lot of people that aren't allowed their time to sit in that creative space to do so. I love that now that we're in a post-pandemic world to a degree. Like, I don't want to say we're past it, but we're definitely pushing past it. I love that you guys are continuing to do the things that were offered as an opportunity throughout the pandemic, which is collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got started getting a little bit more, I guess, serious about it during the pandemic, because we all kind of were starving to play music together remotely, even if we couldn't do so in the same room. So we actually tracked a cover, a Pedro the Lion cover, the three of us, kind of piece by piece. And that was sort of the impetus of like, oh, right, we should actually do this thing. And then so when we could get back in a room together, I think immediately we all sat down and banged out this first track. So yeah, you're definitely right. I'm sure we would have found a way to get together at some point, but I think there's a sense of urgency now, and just this gratitude for being able to actually play music together again, that really made it spark.
Absolutely. Now, this is another Josh Coy produced masterpiece. Am I correct? I mean,
Dang
this
right.
is a recurring theme, not only on the 315 is Alive, but on Locals Only in general. Last week, I featured a song from Single T, who is Matt Westcott of the Matty Dale Music Collective. One of my favorite collaborations to ever come from two so different people, because I know Josh worked with Matty Dale Music Collective before. This Single T record was such a step forward. And I think that, like, I can't say this enough, Josh, and because we're kind of face to face tonight, like, I don't know that I've said it to you before, but like, I genuinely think you're one of the most prolific artists in Central New York, not only from the output that you've put out in bands and music, but like all of the behind the scenes stuff that I don't think you get enough credit for, because man, you're churning out masterful record after masterful record. And I'm in awe. Like, I really don't have another way to put it, man. Like, you know that I've had nothing but respect for you over the course of the years, but you're really starting to like move things in a way that I didn't think one person in Syracuse could. And you get a ton of collaboration, or congratulations for that, my man.
Thanks, Scott. It's funny because I don't even think about that kind of stuff until you like put it all in one paragraph like that, because it's just, you just have friends that reach out or recommend someone to you and you're just in it, and then you're that's all you think about for a while, and then you complete a thing with someone and you hope that they really like it and other people like it and that it's good, and you just do your best for the person you're working for and working with, and then it's on to the next thing, or it's like a lull, you're at your regular day job, hanging out with friends, culminating different relationships, and then somehow something else falls in your lap and you continue on, and you don't think about as a whole. But it's kind of cool to think about.
I can't say enough nice things about what you've been doing in the studio. I think your most underrated skill is as producer, because again, I'll point at Matt, and he and I have had this conversation, so this isn't me talking out of pocket. Like, the distinct difference between his first release and this release is you. It's you at the helm of it, taking all of those things that you're really good at, which are songwriting, vocals, and making melodies and all of these things, in showing him how to influence his artistic view into a more round and complete thing, right? Like we know that, you know, Matt and the Matt Edel Music Collective guys are super lo-fi, really into things like alt J that are sometimes divisive, but to actually know you and to hear your influence on that record and a whole host of others that I play on the show, it has been really eye-opening to me as to your influence. And I think with Forever Plus, it's just one more step forward for you, not only as a musician, as a singer, but as a producer. There's some sounds on this that really, you know, based on the amount of music that I listen to and am forced to listen to every week for the job, like it has a much larger presence than even some stuff I get from major labels. And I can't commend you enough for being able to do that, knowing what you're using and the space that you're in, right? Like, this is a huge step forward, I think, in a lot of ways, not only for you guys as a band, but for you as a producer. This is a template you should use going forward, man. This is a rich and really vibrant sound for something that is so dark. Like the juxtaposition of the way the music sounds versus the way the music is produced, it's uncanny to me. It's something that I haven't experienced. And I think that that's a big part of why I'm so connected to it in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. It was kind of neat because, I mean, obviously we were kind of influenced, like the shoegazy kind of thing, but I remember you saying it was kind of sounded like a bunch of different bands, and you couldn't, quite think of exactly who. I think it was almost, I remember Steven and I, like he was saying, about 5 or 6 years ago, we were just chatting about what kind of music we'd want to do, and we discovered we both really loved Super Drag, and the singer had this other project called The Leaves of Memory, and we just kind of bonded over that record, and how that was kind of like their love letter to My Bloody Valentine or whatever. But in one sense it kind of had that sound, in another sense it was, it could have been another Super Drag record, with just a little bit different production. And I think we just kind of approached the songwriting that way, like what if we didn't remake the typical shoegaze sound, and just what would it sound like if we were just playing these types of chords, or playing with these kinds of melodies, and what would it be if just it was us?
I think that really says it well. Like we definitely, we love My Bloody Valentine, we love Ride, we've got Jesus and Mary Chain, like we really dig all that shoegaze stuff, but I think Josh can't help but write hooks, right? And there's not a whole lot of 3 and 4 part harmonies in that stuff, but I wouldn't be on a record if there weren't 4-part harmonies. So like I love the way that we sat down to try to make a shoegaze record, and instead made like this weird dark pop in a way that it just I'm so thrilled with the way everything's turning out.
Yeah,
Sorry, my daughter's having a lot of fun behind me.
It can't be said enough when you're talking about harmonies. I mean, Curt was like, "Hey, let me try to sing a couple things on this," and all of a sudden he's singing the highest notes we've ever heard in our lives.
Incredible.
What is going on here?
Incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how I pulled that one off, but I did.
Well, Curt, this isn't really your first foray into singing, right? Like you always have kind of done harmonies over the years, right?
Over the years, yeah, I did a lot of just sort of background vocals with Honor Bright. Again, I did a lot of the high harmony stuff. I don't know. Apparently, that's just where my voice goes. It's this natural register once I start singing. So, yeah, because I don't have the greatest frontman voice, but I've always enjoyed singing, and I've always, you know, wanted to even just sing in the background, like just sing what everybody else is singing and just be a part of it. Especially being a drummer, you sometimes, you know, you kind of get lost in the background because you're often sitting in the back of the stage. And so like, it's just kind of fun to, you know, take a microphone and just have a voice essentially. So it's, yeah, it's a great
Very
time.
cool. The harmonies on this record are impeccable, in my opinion. I love not only how they're sung and the thought process behind them, but like, again, I go back to the way Josh layered them in, right? Like there's just such a transparency that bleeds honesty from this song, right? Like, and that's a common theme amongst all the previous acts that you guys have been in over the years, right? Like Steven's songwriting for his singer-songwriter stuff is the most like, you know, I don't know, cut your arm open and show everybody the blood sort of like it's just it's so personal, and it's touching in a way, because like, let's be honest, man, like there's a whole lot of insincerity in the music industry, and has been, and it just perpetuates itself forward to a point where, like, I don't know, there's just this saccharine sort of feeling to so many things. So when you hear something that really is honest in a way that so many things aren't, it's refreshing. Like, and again, like I probably listen to anywhere between 100 and 125 new songs every week, because that's a requirement for the job. So when something hits you as hard as Safe Inside did, like there's something to be said there. And taking away like my personal relationships with the three of you, had that just been some random email from some random person that was like, play this on your specialty show, it would have hit in the exact same way, because it's just that good. And I'm not trying to like gas you guys up or anything in any way that's artificial, right? Because like I'm just exuberant. Like it's been a couple of years since like we've been able to like really interact with one another and see new projects. It's just been so refreshing over the first 6 months of this year to see new things come out. And it's even more invigorating for somebody like me to see three who I consider to be relatively heavy hitters in our local music scene collaborating together to create something that just feels so special. It feels like a moment in time. It really gives me a lot of hope for not only the future of what Forever Plus is going to do, but it reignites that fire that I occasionally lose when I'm just sort of like fed up with the scene and the politics and everything else. Like this cuts through the bullshit, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that kind
ahead,
of builds on what you're saying about just us being able to do this in the era of COVID. It really allowed us to take a step back and like explore new ways of doing things, like trying to change keys and change tempos and change counting, and let's just see what happens if. And it really kind of helped develop the spirit of kind of how both of these songs turned out. You know, they came out great, kind of like what you were saying, all those wonderful things that Josh added in. Like, you know, these were things that definitely, you know, COVID definitely lent a hand to. And it created this great project that, you know, we definitely want to keep recreating time and time again. You know, not necessarily put a formula to it. You know, just always keep it creative, always keep it, you know, let's try this, let's see what happens.
and I think that's one of the reasons we're all so excited about it, is that it really was just kind of like throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. And it just turns out most of what we threw at the wall did stick. And at least with this song and with the next single that'll be out in about a month or so, I think we impressed ourselves in many ways with, you know, you hear so many stories about people that you love working together and you get really excited about it. And then you hear the end result and you're like, all right, well, that's cool. But you know, it's fine. And then you just want to listen to their other projects again. But I feel like we've really hit on something where we've channeled each other's creativity in ways that I don't think have risen to the surface in a while. You know, I haven't written anything like this in a really long time. I mean, if you listen to anything I've put out in the past 15 years, it's all pretty much like folky, classic rocky, Bon Iver wannabe stuff. And you know, I'm a punk rock kid, hardcore kid at heart, and to be able to sort of combine all that stuff and then get to sing some of these really hooky melodies that Josh writes, it just, I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be more excited.
Very cool. Unlike everybody listening to this, was fortunate enough to hear that second song. And man, I gotta say, I can't wait for there to be more Forever Plus tracks out in the world. So we're about a month away from the next track. I know that you guys are still in the process of fleshing out what the rest of that first release will be. Is there a plan in place for any live performances at any point? Because that's the thing for me, that like I've seen all three of you play way more than most people probably have. So that's going to be the dynamic for me, that like that's the thing that I'm very curious about, is seeing you guys take a stage and having this indelible image that's already in my brain from the last 20 years, and then seeing what it becomes and what it evolves into. Do you guys have anything booked? Are you looking to book something for maybe the fall, or what can people expect for the remainder of 2022 from the three of you?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, we definitely want to play. I don't think we want to play till we know we're ready to make it sound as good live as we can on the record, but I don't think that'll take too much. But sorry, I interrupted. I talk a lot. Go ahead, Judge.
I ideally want us to, you know, write a few more songs, you know, that we can play. I think we have a lot of ideas. We have some demos kind of started. We've jammed out a few things, you know, prior to me moving out of my previous house, that are still kind of, you know, in our heads. I still have stuff in my head that I'm looking to, you know, put out in some sort of musical palette. So I think the three of us have a good opportunity to keep this going, and, you know, have each song sound really unique from the others. So
very cool. So if you guys are looking for it online across the streaming services, it's Forever Plus. The song is called Safe Inside. Make sure that you follow them across whatever platform you're streaming it on, so that you'll be notified when the next single drops, which is about a month from now. You'll hear it all week at 6:05 p.m. in the Locals Only Spotlight on 95X, and probably for a couple of months going forward on the regular show, Sundays at 11, well, at least until the next one comes. And then we'll swap it out, and we'll probably do this whole process over and over again. Talk about breaking cycles. This is one I don't want to break. I want to stay up to date with you guys as sort of this progresses, because I almost feel like you guys took something that's been inside my brain for a decade and have just sort of done like the social experiment that I've always wanted to do. You guys are just doing it. So I feel like this sense of not only like obligation, but urgency to stay on top of it and keep everybody apprised of the progress. Because I think that we're really just tapping into the very beginnings of something that's going to end up being truly legendary here and just in general.
I wish I could say I disagree, because it sounds like I'm being a jerk to agree, but I'm right there with you. I feel like we're tapping into something that's bigger than all of us, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
I think we kind of blew all of ourselves away when we
big time
put these two songs together.
Well, I will suffice it to this. I am very proud of the three of you for everything that you've done. Previous, I am like a weird proud uncle sitting here listening to these two songs, and I'm very, very, very excited for what the future holds for the three of you and for Forever Plus. Stephen, Josh, Curt, thank you so much for taking the time to do this this evening, and for taking the time to let people know what is up. The song has reacted very well. The first few days that it's been in the locals only spotlight. And, you know, as much as I would love to say that that happens all the time, it's a pretty rare thing when I get genuine strangers that reach out that have like, I Shazammed this, and it can, is this what this is, right? Like that's happened twice in 3 days at this point, right?
That's awesome.
So
That's
like that to me says that you're onto something. When the casual radio listener is compelled to get their supercomputer out of their pocket, right? Like, and like they didn't catch the intro to the song, but they like it so much they've got to like do the app thing. That speaks volumes to me. So congratulations on the success so far. I look forward to what the future holds. And thank you once again for taking the time. I genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
We will be back next Thursday, again at 2 p.m. with another edition of the Locals Only podcast, this time featuring Gary Carpentier.